Начинаем? Okay, hello everyone. We are like at the last lesson at the day with most talented students. So today we will talk about European digital shifts, talking about major economic trends according to Eurostat, different banks and national organization statistics. What is happening with digital society, specifically in Europe? What is about what can we say about the next shift in digital European environment, specifically according to generation shift, economy, and digital gaps? So let's start. A small talk about agenda that we will have today. It's about opening question about European entering a new digital era. We will talk about key macro trends shaping the European environment. This will be about economic projections, demographic projections, and digitalization projections. Then, in each slide, we will focus on specifically at what does it mean for IT sphere, for IT companies, and what does it mean for IT business analysts and system analysis, according to different types of projections and different specific economic challenges that now Europe face. And then we will talk about, like a small talk about business analyst, what does it mean overall, and what does it mean for IT companies and the products that made. And then a small discussion and conclusions according to our presentation. Well, let's start. First of all, every big topic is starting with a myth. According to ancient Greek myth, Europe was captured by the Zeus in a form of Taurus and took to Crete Island, and it was the beginning of the new shift and European civilization, the new era of new countries around Europe. And today we are seeing a new shift and a new generation trends and the new digital rape of Europe. And now we're facing where does this Taurus will lead Europe in the next few decades. So let's see. We will talk specifically about, first of all, some key microeconomic challenges that the European society and Europe as a whole is now facing. There are different vision of how we can say and what we can say about those key shifts. But for example, I will focus on directly on four of them. It's a focus on digitalization pressure. It's a pressure of globalization according to European economy. It's about demographic trend, specifically aging of the population and migration problem. It's a hyper customization expectations of the users, and these four key challenges, we will now focus directly on them and look at them in accordance with latest research, in accordance with in accordance with statistic of Eurostat and the key microeconomic institutions. And we will see directly what does it mean for business analysts and for IT companies as whole. Well, let's start challenge after challenge. First of all, digitalization pressure. Digitalization is now our everyday life, and it's of course, this means that more digital is now in each sector of economy, and specifically digital sphere is now one of the major part of each European economy. And at the same time, people are getting more and more digital skills. And latest research from Eurostat shows that at the same time that Europe is a rather digital society, but inside it, we see that it's a very big plant of how different the skills of this or that European countries. For example, we can see that the majority of people with basic or above digital skills now can be found in northern countries like Finland, Norway, or for example in Netherlands, while usually the lower rate of basic digital skills can be found in southern countries, in like Bulgaria and Romania. What does it mean for IT companies? It means that if they create different IT products, it will should specifically adopt to the possibilities in this or this country, because people in countries usually in average will have different basic or different digital skills, and companies should take it into consideration and ready to different things that they can adopt in different IT and digital environment. And what does it mean for business, and specifically business and system analysis in IT sphere? This means that it's a readiness to simplify, if necessary, different IT products and flows, reduce cognitive load, and plan products in different level according to different level of skills of average customer. The second is globalization, and here it is not very good statistic for European. For a long time, Europe was a key center of different technologies and IT technologies too. But now Europe faces that the decline of this tendency, and now core bigger economy, of course, now are United States, in China that is growing, and countries like India and Japan are still have very big share of economy, and at the same time they are more and more strong in IT and digital sphere. This means that Europe is not longer the only and the major European economic engine in terms of digital economy, and that's why. But even inside Europe, there are more digital, so-called digital countries with different digital. We see the different digital environment inside the European Union. And for example, in Spain, Germany, Italy, it will be practically the same, plus minus, according to the average level. But according to the share of IT sector in Eastern and Western Europe, it will be, or especially in Southern Europe, it would be much more different from the average level. For business and system analysis means that we should adopt our workflow, adopt our requirements and architecture that we are creating according to different levels, not only for sphere, not only for big regions we are creating our products, but even inside those regions, inside the countries of this region. And this is mostly because of the next shift and the next thing that we will be talking about. It is about demographic agenda and migration. First of all, let's look about demography of Europe. Why we need to concentrate on this specific topic? Because what does it mean, demography? Demography is our customer. Demography is our clients. Demography is it's a sphere where we will get new blood for our business society. And we see how even in Europe, from the center from the of the previous century and now and in the future, how we can see the different demographic agenda, different demographic changes. For example, after the war, in the beginning, in the center of the previous century, we see one demographic pyramid. Now it is slightly another. We can see that there is post-war problems are mostly resolved, but we see the second movement in demography at less child and more people at middle age and more people in older age. And if we will project this to the future, we will see the third picture, how would look like demographic pyramid in the end at the end of this century, and it will be look like a little bit simpler, but at the same time we will see the difference between nowadays demographic pyramid and what we will see at the end of this society, at the end of this century. We will have a less and less younger generation, and it will be and more people at the older and older age. But at the same time, it's a overall Europe. And if we will place Europe in global trends, we will see how different is European demographic pyramid according to another situation with demography in another sphere. This means that they have different client base, different amount of people that would be IT specialists in future. For example, usually, and today we can still, demography pyramid in Africa looks like it was for ages in our history. And but if we will see that demographic pyramid in the world, in the center, it looks like in Asia, because Asia is a major according to the population, and we'll see that it looks like a world. But at the same time, we see how demographic in Europe differ from the world because it is different from Asia. And it's look like in Northern America, but at the same time, in North America, demographic pyramid is slightly we may say even better in terms of demography, because it is more people, more younger generation, the same big part of middle age, and still a rather big part in comparison, for example, with another region of older generation. And this means that when we create in different kind of IT products, we need to understand our market better, and of course our clients better. And that's why we will see how different it is from region to region. But even inside different regions, and Europe is a big region, we will see a big difference. For example, demographic pyramids of Asian and according to migration trends in Europe, we see how different it is now in Eastern, Northern, Southern, and Western Europe. For example, we see that in Eastern Europe, it is looks like with a lot of it's very different from another parts. Because it is a problem of the end of the 20th century. It's the post-Soviet problems of demography, and it's like a little bit unhealthy demographic pyramid. But there are differences in other parts of Europe, and that's why when we're creating different IT products for different parts of Europe, we should take it in consideration, because it will change profile of our average client. For example, in Northern Europe, it is more people it's like more people than in Southern Europe. For example, in younger generation, the same big amount of middle age, and still a big amount of people in upper part of these demographic pyramids. And of course, in Western Europe, it looks like something like in Northern Europe too. It's like more healthy and demographic pyramids in this region. But at the same time, this means that if our society is like reason, we will see that from the it's like a movement from the bottom to the top. So and that's why later we will see how it will look like in 20 or 30 years from now. And lower generation will come to the middle age, and big generation, and now the bigger part will be in upper part of the generation. And this means that our aging, it will be still one of the major demographic trend. At the same time, migration will be a very big challenge too, because, and we will see it, because migration and the problems of the difference, what is happening inside the society, usually show interesting trends according to adaptation of this or that IT products. And then hyper-customization as a new trend. Overall customization was a big trend in the middle of the previous century, while customers needed more products, and while customers need more understandable for products for them. And now it's a time of hyper customization. It's not only when small companies can create products specifically for the needs of the clients, but it is when even big companies can do it according to automatization, robotization, and usage of different IT resources too. And at the same time, not all their companies in different countries can adopt to hyper customization trend. For example, according to European statistic, um, only 22% of European businesses can invest money in a training of their staff in international information and computing technology. But this number differs from country to country. And we'll see, for example, as it is 22% in average in Europe, but at the same time in Finland, for example, it is nearly more than 35%, something like 38. And for example, in Bulgaria, it is more, it's even less than 10. And what does it mean for those who are doing analysis in IT sphere? It means that design of our requirements should be adopted to the possibility of this or that region, and if it is possible and if it is necessary, of course, it's simplifying onboarding of our project, and the workflows maybe even simplified sometimes. And it's about the possibility of our clients to have necessary resources for investing in the training of their staff to understand better internet and computer technology. Then short summary of this part of the presentation. What does it matter for IT companies and for specifically IT and business and analysis? In terms of business companies, this means that we should move from usual product to continuous digital services. It's a hyper specialization is now usually a default option for not each but for major IT products, and we should take into consideration different trends in unequal digital society, unequal in different markets, and unequal in terms of even in one region and even in one country. And that's why Europe is multi-speed region, and it is this, and it is a big specificity of this region, and we will see regional gaps in not only in income but in how we can adopt this or that IT solutions too. And this multi-speed approach and multi-speed market, it's at plus and minus at the same time, because we can test different maybe sometimes very costly or not or some cheap solutions in different regions, in different parts, but inside one big region. And according to what does it mean for reshaping the work of business and system analysis, this means that we say about our work as not from usual requirement clerks, then for strategic translator of what business strategy in IT and modern digital society means. It's working with AI more and more, and this is about, in terms of working with IT specifically, this is about the work not against AI, but with AI, because usually it's about prompt engineering, it's about working with agentic browsers, it's specifically about business system analysis. It's about the work with them, not they would not work for us, but it's more productive to work with them directly, and we will get a good effect of synergy of working with different AI solutions in modern BA and SA work. At the same time, business and system analytic works are more and more context sensitive and human centered now, according in terms of requirements, skills, and we should analysis not at the same time like such factors as age, skills, and take into consideration regional contexts and technological context in this or that country, and while defining, for example, user journey or requirement solutions. And at the same time, it's continued delivery instead of one-time analysis. And then a little bit more about different projections. That mean that we are talking about not only the whole society, but it have different layers, different projections. For example, we can say that there is economic projections. It's about topics of productivity, topics of investment, and ability to adopt those digital changes and technologies in terms of economy. It's demographic projections. It's about how those IT trends can be we can talk with them specifically according to demographic projections and some specific demographic tendencies in European society, and digital projections. It's about skills, infrastructure, technology, and their adaptation and influence of those digital things and their the problem of how we can work with them in this new digital environment. So, first of all, about economic projections. As we see, Europe is a very different in speed of grow in economy growth and in the level of digital business too. According to later statistic of Eurostat, we can see that there is a very big difference in countries in terms of intensity level of European business. For example, countries like Finland are on the top. And for example, Spain, it's a very good example of a middle country in European digital trends, when we can see that more than 50% are very high and high have level of digital intensity of business. This means that more and more companies can invest money in digital sphere, more and more money can, more and more companies can adopt different digital trends, and more companies can use those trends in their everyday work. But at the same time, we see how different it is from region to region, and still here we see that southern countries are on the bottom, like Bulgaria, Greece, Hungary. At the same time, Latvia is here. It's interesting, but because, for example, their neighbors like Lithuania and Estonia are higher, and for example, Estonia is looks like Spain, and Spain is practically in the middle of digital intensity level in terms of business, in the according to statistics of the previous year, and for IT companies, this means that we should adopt our products according to a different high and low digital intensity of business in this or this country. And especially this is about overall business. But if we will change LC that according to small and medium enterprises, we'll see a little bit different picture, and we'll see that the digital intensity will be lower and lower. And usually if we will see that overall business in southern countries have very low digital intensity level, but for small and medium enterprises it will be even lower. But at the same time, in most of the northern countries, it will be rather high. And that's why it means that adopting different difficult solutions, IT solutions, will of course will work with not only with the clients but with business who had more higher digital intensity level. And for business and system analysis, this means that we should take into consideration technical readiness of the business in different countries, because it's our clients, and we will work with them and speak at the same technical language at the technical level. It's about a possibility to adopt different cloud solutions, different digital intensity according to different digital intensity, and to avoid, for example, creating too difficult resources for countries with low digital intensity level, if we want them to work good enough. Then talking about still about economic projections, it's about productivity. It's about productivity of different products in different spheres that we can create. For example, take into consideration and one sphere specific, it's a growing sphere of e-government services. We can see very interesting statistics according to how people use different e-government solutions in Europe, and we see how different it is in different countries. We can see three different patterns here. For example, according to different ages of people using different electronic government resources and services. We will see that in the highest position, with the highest number of people of lower age, of middle age, and the high age, it will be countries like Netherlands and Denmark. But at the same time, Netherlands is a very interesting country in terms of that it has a rather low level of people using electronic government resources in younger ages, rather high in middle ages, and still high in older ages. This means that this is a new trend, and we will see that how other countries will adopt this shift too. But still, some countries, some southern countries, still have very low usage of government resources. This has in one hand, we can see here pluses and minuses. Minuses is that still it's a very big problem of using of e-government solutions and services in some countries. But at the same time, it's a very big possibility to make those e-government services working better and better. And that's why, for example, not long ago, Greece was on the bottom of this graph too, but now it is slightly higher because new government resources were made. And especially when we will see not only this one graph, but if we will see at the same graphs 10 or 20 years ago, we will see changes in different usage of your government services according not only population, but according to different countries. And we will see those interesting trends according to different regions. And for example, now usually it starts in the middle of European region, and now more and more countries adopt different e-government solutions. And now it's a time for example, countries in Baltic region to adopt new digital solutions. And if we will look at the same picture maybe 5 years ago, we will see very interesting changes that even people of older ages are working more and more with IT government solutions easily. And that's why this means that companies are trying to adopt their IT solutions according to the age of the people and not creating one resource for example, average person, but adopt it for specifically for better understanding of person of what age will use it mostly. And that's why those countries who adopt those resources better, they are now in the top here, and the lines are not so different from one or two, from the first, the second, the third age groups. For business analysts, this means that we should take into consideration that digital public services influence on people expectations on them. Some of the countries at the same time, they are digital skeptics, and some of the countries are not shown so much skepticism according in terms of the usage of different IT government resources. But this is a very good example of a growing sphere of e-government services and solutions, and especially for countries in Eastern Europe, in Poland, for example, we will see how it looks like maybe 10 years ago and now, and we will see very big shift and very big growth of the usage of e-government resources in each generation group. At the same time, the last maybe slide, according to economic projections, this is about the amount of money that we can see in digital sphere. And this is a very big problem according to European statistic for Europe, because as for example, United States is still spending a lot of money for resource and development, and especially in digital sphere, and that's at the same time, Europe still has very big spending and R&D still, but at the same time, it is the difference between European Union and United States is becoming bigger and bigger, and China is now growing so fast that more than 10 years ago it was at the same level as the European Union, and now, of course, it's even higher. This means for IT companies that more high-value technical solutions are more widespread in United States market, in Asian markets, and not so widely spread in European Union, because more unicorns will be there, and slower growth for European Union will be the biggest, maybe, challenge for European IT sector in the next decade. And at the same time, for business system analysts, this means that we must understand our clients better and operate according to their maybe sometimes more slower decision cycle. We should understand that it comes from these specific European possibilities in adopting R&D nowadays, and work with this design solution, and that's why, but even inside Europe, we will see different trends. For example, for northern countries, it is more easy to create some R&D resources in digital sphere because they usually had more money in government and non-government sphere too. But while other countries are not so good working at R&D, and specifically R&D in digital sphere solutions. Uh, More about demographic projections. For example, we will talk a little bit more about aging too. For example, when we are talking about different IT solutions we are creating, we should understand that people of different age are working in different ways in IT solutions. For example, when we are creating some things for distributing goods and services online, we should understand that people of different ages are working in different ways with this online shopping, and now mainstream is across all the European countries is a big difference between different online shopping solutions and the work with them with low and middle-aged persons, and then with more older parts of the population. And as we see from the beginning of this presentation, that now more older people will be the bigger part of the European society, we should adopt online shopping resources for more older generations. And that's why, as always, pluses and minuses. And minuses is that in many countries, especially in Western Europe, in Southern Europe, they have very low level of people who use internet for buying goods and services in their older age. But as demographic trends will move forward, it will be those people who are now in the middle of this graph will be in the next several decades at the next step of this graph, and we will see big growth of the most of these parameters for most of the countries. But now still we see that in those three demographic groups, around, as far as I see, around 80% of younger people are making usual online and buying goods and services online. For middle generation, this is around 80%, but for older generation, it is about still something around 55%. But now, according to these demographical trends, we will see that it will be slightly higher year after year in the next decade. And this means that IT industry should now see these demographic trends and adopt IT solutions for this demographic trend. And it's a big, interesting things to work with in e-commerce in the next decade, because we will see a little bit big change in a portrait of middle customer. And this means for business system analysis, we need to ensure that our user journey are using this portrait of current customers, and how it is inclusive and intuitive for senior generation, and how adaptive it is, these digital transformations, how adapt our UA and UX design for older generation. But at the same time, the generations of tomorrow will be the generations of that are the Middle Ages now, and they will adapt these changes easier in the next decades. And that's why we should understand this demographic structure for each market at the same time, because it differs from country to country. And at the same time, the age composition is different in shape, even inside one country. And we will, in the next slide, see this too. What does it mean? When we're talking specifically about demography, and later we looked like as a demographical trend for countries, for regions, but even inside one country, we have very different understanding who are our usual clients, who are the people who are coming to our IT work and work now as a business analyst, who are working now, and who will work after us, who will work in the future. Those two diagrams shows one for United States projections of the population, because I found it more good for showing, and then we have the same for European, but not so good in terms of specific generations. Now, more and more people year after year will be in the market from Generation Z, and still millennials are still their major generations for the next decade will be, while Generation X will be less and less them, and of course Boomers and silent generation will, and the next several decades will be the smaller part of the populations. What does it mean? It means that different generations have different and very specific and usually very different from each other patterns of digital habits, ways of how they use this or that solutions. And that's why, for example, Generation Z is now emerging, and it's very digitally fluent, and they are very highly educated in digital sphere. And at the same time, they will become a dominant consumer and the dominant part of their labor market. And more people from this part will be the part of the IT product companies, and will be not only they will create those products for themselves. For business system analysis, this means that we should adopt our ways of work and ways of how we produce our work according to who is doing this, because we will see that teams and composition of teams will be different now and maybe 10 or 5 years later, because we will see that there is a difference in composition of generations year after year. And at the same time, it will be a little bit different than in Europe than in the United States, because America is, in the United States specifically, is working better with migration, and that's why they have a little bit different tendency according to millennial generation that generations in their overall populations. At the same time, demographic projections means, and it's a specific token, we'll specifically talking about migration. It's reshaping labor market dramatically in different ways, in the ways of for whom we are creating our products, because usually more and more countries with more diverse population, with more migrations, they usually have different another tendencies for consumers in terms of what they need from IT solutions than those countries who are not so easy in adaptation of migrants. We are talking specifically about European Union here. And that's why we can see this difference, for example, in such lands as problems in using different IT resources, for example, in e-commerce, in buying in making our everyday buying online, and we can see that countries with usually that that have problems in incorporating migrations in their countries usually see that more problems arise there in IT solutions because they should adopt solutions for very diverse population in this or that country. And Europe is increasingly diverse. And even inside some countries, some big countries like Germany or France, they have even inside one country very diverse society in rural areas or in big or in middle towns and cities. And this means that they will have different rates of failed and of problems in online interactions with this or that online resources. And for business and system analysis, this means that products design should be adopted to these specific trends in demographic in this or that country, and we should see the specifically structural signals in demographic trends in this or that country and adopt IT solutions for these trends. For example, making it easier for people with different digital culture, with different understanding of how to work with this or that digital solutions. And we see it especially in different government solutions. For example, they are more and more migrant friendly in most of the countries that had more migrants now in the European Union, and this adaptation goes rather slow. But in those countries where it goes faster, they will reduce the number of problems according to these migration issues. More about digitalization and. Digital Europe is a region with a very big digital skill gaps inside one region. For example, people using internet connecting device system in their everyday life. We will see that these statistics show that it is very different in different countries. And for example, it's interesting, but for example, Poland here has one of the lowest rate of usage of internet connecting device in the previous year, while, for example, such countries as Spain or, for example, Denmark and even Netherlands, they are using more internet connecting devices. But maybe this is about how digital is society. And but at the same time, this picture shows that still European is the region with different speeds of how how this or this country digitalize their society. And this means for IT industries that, for example, they will have very different difficulties in adopting this or that, for example, Internet of Things solutions or smart home solutions, even in the same scale of countries. For example, we can see that in Poland it is one of the lowest usage of internet connecting devices, while, for example, in Germany, country is not far from Poland, it's slightly higher. Of course, not so high as in, for example, Spain, but rather more higher than, for example, in Poland. And that's why that companies should adopt their IT solutions according to how people can see that this digital gap between inside of the country and country and indifference of these countries. And for business system analysis, this means that we should see this different skill gap and adopt our system business analytic works for this gap, and we'll see the mainstream of IT, Internet of Things solutions in Europe as a whole, but in different parts and regions of the society. And it's highly connected with how countries are good or bad in adopting different automatization of our homes, in smart home automatizations. As there is a difference in emerging markets and very wealthy markets at the same time, but still the main thing here is that still Europe is a region with different digital gaps in different regions. But it is not only about how society is adopting these digital solutions. It's not only about people, it is about infrastructure too. And if we will see the infrastructure readiness, different components, digital commerce readiness or digital infrastructure readiness, we will see how different countries are. And this is why in the same IT product can be good in one country and will fail in another, not only because people are different in working with different IT solutions, but especially according to infrastructure readiness. For example, I know that I was part of several product solutions for African countries and for Asian countries. They were very good prepared, but they failed because infrastructure was not ready to work with some digital solutions. But we can see that even in this table, we can see difference in digital readiness with northern countries, with countries in the middle of the Europe, but at the same time, if we will see the trend and look not only in one table but in projections of 5 or 10 years, we will see that how those numbers are growing and growing fast. And for example, for Poland, it is growing fast, especially in the last 5 years, as we see, for example, the same. It is not here on the table, but for Baltic states and especially in Lithuania, it is the same. We will see that infrastructure readiness is now more and more and even higher than it was 5 years ago, especially in such as mobile subscription, in different internet of 5G and 4G connections inside of the country. At the same time, digitalization, it's about automatization adaptations. And we see here, for example, that countries in Europe are different according to statistics in usage of cloud services. And here, not and here again, northern countries are better here in and more adaptive in usage of different cloud-based solutions, especially Finland, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. We can see them in the highest position, and but an average buying IT cloud solutions, it's about 45% of businesses. I mean, not only big businesses, but at the same time, this figure shows at the same time small and medium enterprises too. But of course, for small and medium enterprises, the figures will be lower. This means that we should adopt our solutions not only inside of the regions, inside of the countries, but in terms of the scale of the business too. And for business system analysis, this means that creating our resources, we should take into consideration and adopt our workflows and data flows and security models for how this or that IT automatization or cloud solutions are widely spread in the region or in the country specifically. And at the same time, are we working with big business or we're working with small and medium enterprises? And of course, we should take into consideration the country we are working with. We can see here even some countries that they are near each other. For example, Lithuania and Latvia here in every graph they are practically near them, nearby. And for example, in adopting and working with cloud-based solutions, we can see that Estonia is a little bit higher still, but Lithuania and Latvia is going forward, and soon they will show the figures and numbers like Estonia too, while some countries are still working not so good at cloud solutions, especially France, for example. I don't know why, especially, but it is so according to Eurostat statistics. And that's why, for example, Germany is much more higher. For example, 25 businesses working with cloud solution, 25% of cloud solutions working with in terms of business in France, and for example, 45 in Germany. This is a very different, big difference for neighboring countries. While small countries are usually working with same solutions easily and at the same level. At the same time, why does it mean for business analysts as a whole? First of all, it's about our lens we should work with. It's about that we should use with not only with micro lens, but just with project lens too. Which our requirements must reflect this difference of and user readiness for adopting these or that solutions. And our works become continuous and more integrated in data solutions, and human-centered and inclusive design are now the main part of strategy. And what does it mean for IT companies as a major trends of this presentation? It's that digital transformations, according to figures about Europe, show that it is a multi-speed regions and different countries adopt IT solutions and different IT solutions at different level. And that's why it's very difficult to create solutions that will be working good at each region. Product strategies must prioritize scalability, modularity, and interoperability, and user-centric and user expectation shift towards personalization, simplicity, and readability. This comes from a major demographic trends because we see the demographic trends, generation trends, and how these trends, according to different generations, it means that different habits of our clients, of our customers, and even habits of people who will work in specifically in IT sphere. And of course, it's about innovations and investment in innovations and an ecosystem. And here, Europe is still in very big. Is facing very big problems according to latest statistics, because another region, especially United States and different Asian countries, are now working better than most of the European tech companies because they are more adaptive than European one, and that's why this is a big challenge for European IT sphere, and in terms of invest climates, especially in research and development sphere. I start with the myth and I will end with the myth too. I think that I'm a digital optimist, and I think that the nearest future, digital future, would create in Europe something really great and something really good and beautiful as a masterpieces that usually was created in another ages and another parts of Europe later. And that's why I see that the birth of digital society, of digital future of Europe is still face a lot of challenges, but all in all, in the future, it will be something beautiful and something like I hope it will be like a digital masterpiece as it was in the previous centuries, with another best solutions for this or that part of our history. Well, like a conclusion, we are now, Europe is in this digital transformation, and still we're in the process of the digital transformations. And IT organizations should build their solutions more flexible, and understand the diversity of European markets especially. And a European next shift is already underway. And those companies who will adopt and understand those changes better, in terms of economic insights, in terms of demographic awareness and demographic changes, and in terms of digital difference and habits of different generations from country to country, they will lead not only European digital sphere, but the world digital sphere. Thank you so much. Questions?
What do you think would be popular solutions in the end of 21st century for our generation, maybe?
It depends on demographic trends, and demographic trends are very easy to see what they looks like in the nearest future. When we will be older, it will be older society, and we will. Our generation are rather easier to we can easily adopt different IT solutions, and that's why our when we become older we will still, I think, adopt new IT solutions easier, and the European society will adopt IT solutions easier and easier, generation after generation. But still, there are some very interesting tendencies. For example, not in all countries. Younger generation are very easy in adopting IT solutions, and there are several countries in Europe that where younger generation are not so good in adopting IT solutions as, for example, middle generations. And this means it's a very interesting tendency and a very big challenge for many IT companies. They are working, for example, with their clients now, but in the nearest future, their future clients are now younger, and now we see that in several countries they are not so good, and for different reasons they wouldn't like. They don't want to use several digital resources for this or that reason, and we should take into consideration this difference between inside several countries in terms of complexity of the solutions, in terms of willingness of this or that generation in working with IT solutions.
Maybe how about unifying all solutions in one AI assistant?
I think it will not work better because, for example, specifically working with different specific work, for example, in business analysis, there is no one, for example, taking like an example, prompt engineering. We could not make one specific prompt for each our work task and work with it. It should be very, very long. It should take into consideration thousands of specific items, and that's why we should adopt IT solutions for our needs, not only for the needs of today, but for the needs of tomorrow.
So you think it would be separate, not in one system?
No, I think it will separate, of course, because it's a trend to hyper speciality. It will be specifically for your need. There would not be one solution for every question. There is now, it's like there is no silver bullet that will resolve all your questions. But we will have a good, I think, wide solutions, and we can choose solutions. And I think that that we will have this choice. This is a major trend. This is maybe the best trend here that we see.
Thank you, Alexander, for the presentation. Yeah, absolutely. There was a question. What do you think is the main macro trend that the companies like Andersen and any other IT companies in Europe, they underestimate?
Underestimate. Well, I think we underestimate trends in not inside region, but inside countries. Because, for example, usually, sometimes we will see countries that are situated near each other, but we create in one solution. They have practically the same structure of the generation, the same problems with migration, or without problems with migration. We create one resources. But if we will underestimate changes in these trends, changing in migration trends, changing in population, in the speed of the change of this with the generation, we can see the difference in how easy it is to adopt the same product in those two countries.
And if we get back to the demographical pyramid that you showed before, so I think that the most important questions to every young person that lives in Europe is where to buy a land or a room. And if we say that there will be less people living in Europe, and most of the people that will come from other countries, can we say that now is a bad time to buy a room or a land, and it's better to wait, or not? Now it's a good time. What do you think?
According to buying or selling, it's usually for Europe, it's a good investment because not only now, it's a long-term investment. It's a long-term investment. But the situation in this or that region changed from time to time. For example, in Lithuania, the next 2 years will be not a very good time for investing, for buying some real estates or flats or home because it will be very huge change in prices according to macroeconomic trends in changes of pension system. More and more money would be on the market, and more and high prices would be, especially in such big buyings as flats and homes. But at the same time, there are regions where we will not see such dramatic changes. Maybe in Southern Europe, but I'm not an expert in this field particularly. But if we are talking about the whole region, we would find the place to park your money for a long time in European market. I think practically in every time.
So now it's a good time to buy a room, because the idea was that if now the economical situation maybe it's not very great, and if we know that there will be less young people in future, and most of the people will be as a migrants, so somehow the prices will be lower. So it means that it's better to park the money in future, but not now. Like in Poland.
Maybe. It depends on specific country and.
In Poland, do you think it's better to buy or
Um,
it's better to wait?
well,
Sorry,
I
it's
think
difficult.
what I know about Poland economy that it is growing very fast, and now it is 1 trillion economy, and only 20 economies, as far as I remember, had 1 trillion amount of economy, and that's why. And this means that the next maybe 5 and 10 years it will be still growing very fast. Why? Because this growth is not centrified only in, for example, Warsaw or in big cities. This growth is we can see it in rural areas at the same time, in small cities at the same time. And that's why it's a rise of the whole level of the economy. And that's why if it is growing so steady and in the whole economy, we can expect that it will be the tendency for several years.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe if you don't mind. Okay.
Please.
Okay, quick question from my side. Thanks for presentation. My name is Arsenij. I'm delivering one working from MENA region for UK, most likely, and Europe. And first question, do you consider UK as a part of the Europe? Do you have information about this region? If yes, maybe you can give a quick overview on how UK, after the Brexit, it's almost 5 years after it's fully cut off. What is your forecast for this region? Or if you are not in this region, maybe we can talk about Germany, Italy, or Spain. Um, so just pick up whatever you want from country perspective, and I will add some content above.
Well, talking about statistic, here there is no information about Great Britain because I took most of the statistic from Eurostat, and usually after Brexit they did not show United Kingdom figures there. I don't know especially why, but mostly they show figures from United States, for example, but not from United Kingdom mostly, and that's why I specifically don't know more about UK trends. But as far as I know, they're still coping with Brexit issues, and that's why I don't know specifically a lot about this region in terms of how better or worse it is working with those digital solutions now. According to what I can say about different regions in Europe, that now digital solutions would work better in Eastern Europe because they are now growing faster than Europe as Germany, that such countries as Germany, France, and we see that these tendencies that they will have usually more higher growth rate in the nearest future than bigger European economies still, but and we will see this is still the end of the bigger trend after the collapse of the Soviet Union and after their entry in the European Union. They are now getting still had some gaps between major European countries and Eastern European countries, but this gap is small and small and smaller. And as small it is, the next step to make it even more smaller would lead for these countries more years to move those small steps.
Okay, maybe a couple of clarification questions, if you don't mind. So basically, Germany and France is the main biggest economies in Europe, which is driven the rest of the union. In Germany, yes, sometimes it's stagnation, but we still have a solid representative of our clients from Germany, and there are, even if they prefer, like sometimes not touch it if it works, but it's a huge demand for IT solutions, even at low market level. But France, most likely, it my guess, because we have a maybe lack of French-speaking managers and sales in the region. That's why we're like not fully representative, or we didn't get demands from this region. So, or it means that in France, they don't really interested in vendor management, any external solutions provided by company outside of EU. Is it a part of their mindset? Like it's quite, I don't know, say, close for external developers.
In terms of France, it's a very interesting case because I see very interesting difference in terms of France and in other countries. I think that a little bit it is a problem of cultural differences. It's for example, it's language differences. It's one part of this coin, and at the same time, the interesting thing that I, for example, find out that the level of productivity of the economy in France is even higher than in the United States, and that's why they are not. Maybe they are not would like to adopt some new things because they think that they are adopting enough good things that still the economy is producing and work with enough good level of productivity. Maybe that's why I found out that interesting solutions, that interesting figures about productivity of the economy. And still, I didn't know exactly why France has such high level of productivity. I should dive deep in these numbers better, but it is still higher, and it was higher 10 years ago. That is still higher now, and that's why maybe it's just a guess that they are not willing to adopt some new solutions from another market because as an economy they are enough productive, and they say that as enough productive.
Not sure I get it, to be honest. I mean, it couldn't be that they're fully satisfied with all states of their banking services, customer services. Like, it should be some kind of demand. It means that they mostly handle it internally, or I actually cannot give any other guess.
I think that there is no one answer for this question. That's why I think maybe cultural differences, cultural tendencies, maybe because language differences, and maybe because those tendencies in productivity. It's there is no one answer I think here. It's a big group of answers that they show us such picture.
Okay, and if you speak about Italy, there are a lot of, I would say, senior people, rich people, but actually it's quite patriotic and even travel inside Italy only, and also demand from Italy is really low for IT services. So, do you expect any changes? I mean, with the younger generation in Italy, or I mean, if we need to open the next office of Andersen company, where it will be in case of Europe? We have Hungary, we have Poland, we have Germany, we have UK office, some other. What do you think will be the next make sense investment from our side?
Well, Italy is a very interesting case because, and usually talking about economy of Italy and demographic of Italy, we should take into consideration that it is very different. They have very different demographic situation in different parts of the country. There is northern Italy, there is middle Italy where Rome is, and there is southern Italy. And usually they will have completely different demographic situation. And according to different demographic situations, they will have different digital patterns. And that's why maybe as the whole country is not so good in adopting some, especially with early generation in digital trends, but maybe they adopted better in northern regions than in southern region, but statistics doesn't show it.
So it means, shall we invest more in this region? Shall we expect more from them? Or it doesn't make sense to invest in it, much better to invest into Asia and MENA region? I don't know. I mean, you mentioned a lot of statistics and patterns, but actually I don't know what to do with it.
In terms of growth, Asian region is still will expect higher percentage of growth, but in terms of premium market, of course, Italy is a very interesting case, but it is more difficult to work there, and that's why if we're talking about a share of the market, it's about the choice of working with hard solution or with easier solutions. So, for example, it will be harder to work, for example, in Italy, because we should adopt IT products for specifically, not only for specifically customers, not only for the whole country, but even we should take into consideration regional differences. And at the same time, if we want easier solutions, maybe working with some post-Soviet Asian countries will be easier.
Sorry. I have a question related with trends. How do you think how deep AI adoption will be in the fintech sphere up to 2050, maybe?
It depends.
Just because this sphere is growing very fast, and there's a big demand from the fintech companies to use AI, and especially local AI, and there's can be solution for companies like Andersen Lab to grow up this direction.
Well, first of all, we will see more AI solutions, but at the same time, it will be not so fast as it could be according to regulation, especially Europe. It's Europe as a region had very difficult regulation, and this will it will work like a stop for faster IT solution trend. And that's why it will be a major challenge and for European companies that at the same time they will have possibility and a lot of talented persons to create IT solutions, but at the same time they will have very strict regulation to work with them.
There's no any questions in the chat.